Welcome back to my channel. It's Wendy here from Toonpish Crafts and I hope you're doing okay. Today I'm doing the eyes. Now a few weeks ago I made a video on colouring moulds that you can put eyes into to make little heads. And I asked if you wanted to know how to make them and a few people said yes please. So this is the eye video. There's a couple of ways I make them. You can also buy them if you don't want to make them. They're glass, they're not resin. So they will sink, they won't float unless they're the wrong size. If you put the wrong size in, they might float. Anyway, try and get the right size for the little things you're doing and they should be fine. Now, before I go ahead with the video, I want to say thank you to Real Simple Things, which is Barry. He sent me some stickers and I'm going to be putting them up on the board. I'll put his link in the description. Thanks very much, Baz. He's a very talented man. He's very big on Instagram as well. So check out his Instagram channel and I'll try and link that as well. Here comes the video. I'll be back at the end with some pieces I've made with the eyes as well. Okay, so I'm just going to show you some eyes that I have in my collection. I have quite a few. I've always got eyes laying around in case I want to make something. And these are ones that I've made myself by buying blank glass cabochons. These ones are ones I've purchased from Wish. And these also are slightly larger, different type, and they're also ones I've purchased from Wish. These larger ones I've made myself using the technique that I'm going to show you. When you make them yourself, you can make them in any design that you want. Okay, so here's a sheet of eyes that I've printed out on my printer. It's on thick card, it's not anything special, it's just thick paper that you put in your printer. And I've got some new UV resin that I'm trying out and this cures in 1 minute apparently. I'll put the links in the description. So I've got my little glass cabochons then and I'm place them over the top of the eyes to make sure that they're the right size for the cabochon. You can get all different sizes. I think the most common sizes are 12mm and 14mm and the larger one 25. And I'm putting some UV resin directly onto the paper, spreading it out with a paintbrush, and I'm putting the glass over the top. Doesn't matter if it squirts out the side, but what you don't want is gaps underneath the glass. Doing the same for the second one. And this time I'm not using a paintbrush, I'm putting it directly on and just moving it around until all the glass is covered with UV resin. Hopefully they're in the centre, that's the plan. You don't need very much UV resin for this, it's literally such a spot. And I'm just curing it with my UV torch. It didn't take very long and it doesn't have to be completely hard. It doesn't matter if it's sticky because it's going to go into resin anyway. And I've got to cut them out. Now you may think this is the tricky part, but I think it's the easy part. The tricky part is getting it in the centre in the first place. Now it is handy to have a smaller pair of scissors than the one I'm using here. And if you want pairs of eyes, it's always a good idea to print out two next to each other and do them at the same time. So I've switched over to my little scissors here and these got a slight bend on them. I think they're nail scissors. It makes it so easy. You just push the blade against the glass and go around it. Simples. It doesn't matter if you've got little pieces of, because they're going to go in the resin, you will not see them. the first eye. So I've speeded this up for you. Like I said, it's always good to print them out in pairs, and even if you only make one at a time, at least you have the option when you come to make them to make two the same. So I've got 4 made here, and I want to mark on the back exactly where the iris is, because sometimes they can be a little off centre. So the best way to do this is look through a light source. I'm trying to show you on the camera, although the light source is off to the left. You can see using the torch that there is a semicircle with a little white dot. So that's what I've drawn. As I've looked through the light, I've drawn over it with my black pen exactly where the dot is on the eye. So here we come now to the larger eyes, and these are made primarily with nail varnish. Now I don't show you every nail varnish I'm using to make these. I use a variety of colours, just brands that are random that I picked up over time. But the black is the most important because obviously you need an iris in your eye. Now I'm using a cutting board that has centimetre squares on it. I've tried to put the glass cabochon over the top of one of the squares so I've got a dot in the middle. It's quite helpful to do that. And I'm going to put a dot of nail varnish, quite a blob of nail varnish in the middle. Then with any kind of pointy tool that you have, to get a long iris, you're going to pull it out before it dries in any direction, shape or form that you want. You can leave it as a circle if you like. And here I'm just putting little lines out from it as well, so it's jagged. And I'm also taking a little bit and putting dots around the outside because some eyes do have dots on them. And it's really your own interpretation of how you want them to look. There's no right or wrong way to do these. I mean, at the end of the day, there isn't such a thing as a dragon eye, so who's to know what it looks like? And that's the first step to making a large iris. Now I'm going to put that to one side. And here, I've let them dry, and this is what they look like at the moment. Some with a dot, some smaller, some bigger. I always tend to make a few at a time as I've got all the nail varnishes out. So you're just feathering the outside edge of with black. It doesn't have to be correct, it doesn't have to be very much, just a feather around the outside. You do get quite sticky with nail varnish doing this. You can wear gloves obviously, but I tend to clean my hands off with nail varnish remover at the end. Job done. And the same process for all of them. Now, I'm not going to show you all of them, but I have speeded it up so you get the idea. Okay, now this particular one I'm going to try the red, Born Pretty, and again I'm feathering the outside over the top of the black. Now whenever you put a second coat of nail varnish on over the top of the first coat, it will make the first coat sticky again. So be aware of that, because the next stage you're going to be scraping it off again. Now you can wait till it dries and you'll get a cleaner line, or you can just go with the flow when it's wet and it will take random amounts off. Either way works absolutely fine. I've just got a scrapey tool here. You can use anything that's a sharp edge. You can use a leather punch or a corner of a chisel, small chisel, and you just scrape it back. And that's what it looks like at the moment. Going to carry on doing those, and you can see that that's partly cured and partly not. And I'm trying to do it again in the light source so you can see what I'm doing. Just scraping it off. I'm going to use the point. Pointy tools are often a lot easier to use than flat tools. It doesn't matter if you get some of the wet back into the eye, because irises aren't perfect. Eyes aren't perfect. They have little imperfections on them. They have little divots on them. It doesn't look like much yet, but the more layers you do, the better it becomes. So this one I've decided to do in purple. You know me in purple. And this one's a dark maroon. So scratching it off. This time I'm using a leather punch, which works a lot better, to be fair. So now we're on to the next level, which is basically level 3 if you think about it. And we're going closer to the iris this time. Change the colour again. This one I'm using roughly the same colour, but not quite. And it's the same process over again. Put it on, take it off, put it on, take it off. But I'm not quite getting to the iris yet. Sometimes I'm letting it dry, and sometimes I'm doing it wet. But you can see how each layer is forming a different part of the eye. Scratching it off again. Now this has dried this time, so the lines are cleaner, which sometimes is a good thing and sometimes isn't. You can control where the scratches go a little better if you let it dry in between. This one I've decided to do wiggly scratches. Just to make it look a little different. On to layer 4. Now I've changed the colour completely here, gone from red to purple. And it makes such a difference. The more layers you put on, the more depth of the eye you'll get. So you can keep going over and over and back and forth. Put as many layers on as you like, and it will give you so much more depth.
You got a smile that makes the sun rise. You make it shine. But I can see that you don't realize, and that's what made me fall in love. 'Cause you've got style, the way your body keeps my heart beat sound. It's amazing all the time. You are the only thing I need in life. Oh, I want you. Can't you see? I want you. I
So here they are all finished and completed. I've done as many layers as I want to. You can keep going, you can take off more and put on more, but I'm happy with the results of these ones. Lots of different colours, lots of different types. And at the end of the day, if you're not happy with it, you can take it all off with nail varnish remover. Let's start again. How cool is that? Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was useful to you. The eyes are so handy to put into little moulds, and there's plenty of moulds out there that will take little eyes. These ones I've made with the eyes that I made myself. Isn't that gorgeous? I mean, I absolutely love him. And yellow is a colour that I don't use very often, and I should utilise yellow because it's lovely. Yellow, red and orange, gorgeous. Now this little guy I made, but I put my own eyes in there that I made, and they were too big. I didn't have any smaller ones, so I had to quickly take them out because they were floating. So I took them out and put the bought ones in. So these are bought eyes, but they're so nice. And this little one here was the eyes that I made myself as well. And they do look as if they're following you when you look at them. They do look as if they're following you. The ones I made with nail varnish are very simple. You can put any design you want on there. You just keep layering it up and taking it off, layering it up and taking it off. And this one has got a lovely shimmer because of the gold I put on the back. But I haven't listed all the nail varnishes that I use because there's so many that I have. They're all different brands. I've just, over the years, I've just picked up them when I've seen them cheap. And you can do the same. There's plenty on there at Amazon as well. Now, I can't remember actually which ones I made last time and which ones I've made this time. But that's one there. And I really like this one as well. It's with a scratchy pattern that's just all over the place. But they come out really nice. Use your imagination. Have some fun and make some eyes. That's what I say. I'll be back again next week. Take care for now.